Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. It's a triple whammy this week. It's a new week, new issue, and new Combat Patrol. We hit the Aeldari. So yeah, issue 21 brings us our first Aeldari model, the Farseer. Inside we have our build guide, a lovely in-depth paint guide on how to paint this guy up to a pretty good standard so far. We learn all about the background of the Aeldari, the Immaterium, the mystical dimension known as the Warp, and home to some not nice creatures and the only way to travel long distances. We have a short story called Mind War where we see the Aeldari sort of in action in a setting. We have our battle record for our Farseer, and of course we have our latest scenario, Behind Enemy Lines. Just a small little scenario seeing the Farseer gathering information from previous battles with the Tyranids. So this issue came with a couple of free gifts this time. First off, our brand new playmat. So the top half looks very similar to what we've had before, the interior of a Space Marines deck. So yeah, very similar. And the other side features a rather deserty sort of battlefield, a little brighter than the darker grey of our previous one. But yeah, these two should fit together nicely to make up our full-size Combat Patrol board. And of course we got our model, and it is a single small character frame with included base, so no extra base, though I have picked out a 28mm as I think that would fit him a lot better than a 25. But yeah, we got our Farseer, his singing spear, his head there, two parts of his body, his cloak, and some basing detail as well. So yeah, we got a fun issue ahead. But before we hit the desk, don't forget to do all the usual. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment down below. Have you built your Farseer yet? And if so, which craft world have you aligned yourself with? I'm going to be following the guides in the magazine for the moment, but I have got planned a special where I paint Iyanden utilising the colours we've had in the collection so far. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock all the things you need from gathering your forces, so new and used models for various different armies and game systems. They have everything you need for your paint desk, so all your paints, your hobby tools, and brushes as well. Finally, everything you need on the battlefield, dice, tokens, and movement trays for various different game systems. So if you're looking for some extra issues of Combat Patrol, they also stock Hachette partworks from the previous partworks and new Combat Patrol magazines. Check warbay.shop in the link in the video description and you can find yourself a hobby project at a bit of a discount. Right, let's head to the table. We'll build and paint our Farseer before we dive into our new information and then take him into battle. So here we are then at the desk with our latest issue. So here we have our Farseer frame. Really nice, only 10 components. So we have the base, some extra little detail to go underneath the foot. We got the head with that beautiful crest and the psychic crystals tuned to the wielder. We have the two halves of the lower body, which have one part with the feet, one part with the extra belt detail around the model. We've got the outstretched hand there, part 9. We got the singing spear there, back torso, front torso, and the right arm cloak piece as well. There we see the underside. So yeah, lots of small components, but lots of little details which can be fun to paint as well. So yeah, luckily we have a base built in. We also have our latest battle mat, so I'll put that off to the side as we won't be needing that until the end of the issue. But yeah, right, let's adjust the camera and we'll look through the build and paint guides, and then we'll bring in my desk and we'll go through everything. So into issue 21 we go. So full contents, we have our build guide for the Farseer, our paint guide for the Farseer. We learn about the Aeldari, the Immaterium, and read a short story called Mind War. We have our collect article for the Farseer, and we have our latest scenario for 17, Behind Enemy Lines. So here we are, we're starting a new combat patrol, and yeah, we do need glue as we are building full multi-part models. So to start off, we have a reminder of clipper safety, guides on how to go about constructing your model, and then we're into the guide itself. So we want to build parts 4 and 3, the front of the skirt and the back of the cape. So glue those together. Add part 5, the front torso, and then finally the rear torso, part 6. And then part 7, the right side of the outer cloak. And then it's all small details. So we glue on the spear arm, the casting arm, the head, and glue our model down to the base. And there we have it complete. So yeah, you can pretty much build this model as one solid piece. It's fairly easy to get the majority of the detail. The hardest bit will be right up underneath the cloak, which some people do like painting, but it's not essential as it's kind of shadowed anyway. And to finish the build guide, we do have a quote. "He who sees his own doom can better avoid its path. He who sees the doom of others can deliver it." And then we're into our paint guide. So this is going to set up the precedent of how we're going to be painting all our Aeldari. So follow this guide to paint your new Aeldari Farseer. Read through the guide in full before you begin. Then gather your paints and your Farseer model, set up your painting station in a well-lit area. While you're painting, take regular breaks and make sure you still have plenty of light to work by. So to start our model, we're going to be base coating the entire thing with 3 coats of Mephiston Red, which gives us the overall colour for our Farseer of Samhan. Then we're picking out the inner cloak with Wraithbone, as well as a small cord holding the little pouch on his belt. Abaddon Black for the leather pouches and straps around the model, plus the face mask. Also picking out his boots, the haft of the spear. Then we're moving on to Corax White to pick out the white armor panels, so the shoulders and the helm. And then we're also picking out this little band around his waist as well. Next, we're coating the outer coat in Scream Pink, just so it stands out from the rest of the model and doesn't all look with different coats or different shades of red. Then we're moving on to picking out details. So we're using Retribute's armor to pick out all the intricate gold details across our model. He's got quite a lot of bangles on, so don't forget to pick those out. We've got the top part of the spear there to pick out. We got various different bits around his belt as well to pick out, so yeah, just take your time. Then Lead Belch is used to pick out the tip of the spear. Scream Pink and Macragge Blue are used to pick out various different gems across the model, as well as the eyes on his mask. And there we have our finished base so far. So we're not actually painting any detail on the base just at the moment. We're going to wait for a few more colours. Personally, I've done it Corax White, as it sort of matches into the Wraithbone sort of feel of the Aeldari. Maybe we're going to do it different colours later on. But there we have it. So yeah, check all your intricate details that you've got everything correct. So we've got the little gems around the back of his cloak there, plus the cord it's on. And yeah, make sure you reach up as far as you can with all your brushes. Right then, let's build our model first of all. So I'll zoom in a little bit and bring in my station. So here we are at the work desk. I've got my tools laid out, I've got my model ready, and my instructions are off camera there for me to reference. So our first components we need are parts 3 and 4. So we'll cut those out just now. give them a bit of a clean up and we can glue them together. So we want to run a bit of glue just up and down this sort of A shape here. And then we can push the two halves, if I don't keep dropping it, together. We'll leave that to dry while we cut out and clean up parts 5 and 6. So 6 is the back of the torso, 5 is the front. So being careful around the little pouch here. And we'll also try not to damage the sleeves. The first part you want to glue on is part 5, which has a little sort of notch and slotter there, so we can just slide that into place. You want to go behind the part of the cape, so you might want to put a little bit of glue just along the line of the body there. So in behind and then swoop into place. And then on the back we put glue there on the sleeve as well and along the bottom of the robe. And then we just got to line up all of these like so. There we go, starting to take shape. So next up to part 7, so the right side of the cloak. And then onto our model, we need to run the glue along the top of the arm and all the way down the side of the cloak. Like so. And then push it into place. Wiping away the excess glue. And there we go. Turn the page, because next up we need parts 8, 9 and 10. So the arms and the head. Be careful because we've got a tab right on the finger there. I think my nippers are starting to lose their sharpness. But there we go. Let's clean those up and get them attached. Now those bits cleaned up, we can now glue them onto our Farseer. So the outstretched hand goes in here. Like that. Spear arm goes in like so. So it's sort of down at an angle like that, and I've just knocked the casting hand. There we go. And finally then the head. I'm just looking in the direction he's casting. Finally then, we need parts 1 and 2, his base and the base detail. So we got this little gap here. Put the glue in, and we've got the little post on the bottom there. That goes in like so. And we got little notches there. And that's for the posts on his feet to go into. And there we go, one finished Farseer. I'll leave that to dry, and then I'm going to get 3 coats of red on him, and we can get on with our paint guide. So here we are, 3 layers of Mephiston red down on our Farseer, and he's now ready for our first colour. So we're going to kick things off by painting the harder to reach areas, so the inside of the cape with Reefbone. So you've got to do the inside bits of the cape, being careful around the red we finished. Not too worried about getting on the outside, as we're going to be painting that screen of pink in a bit. And over the red, we're probably going to want 3 layers. For a solid coat. Okay, with the Reefbone dry, we can move on to our next paint. So up next, we want Abaddon Black. This is for the small pouches and the belt around his waist. We've got his face mask to do. As well as this little grill piece just on the inside of the chin. And finally, we got his boots to pick out and the haft of the spear. Okay, and with the Abaddon Black done, as you can see, we got all of the areas, the boots, the spear, the little belts and pouches, and his face mask. So next up then, we're going to need Corax White, and this is going to be for the shoulder pads and his helm, plus his little cummerbund around his center. So we've also got to pick out this tassel that comes off the cummerbund in Corax White. So there we go, our white detail is done. As you can see, I picked out the black belt that I missed in the black step on the back there. But next up, we're going to do the outer cape, and for that, we're going to want Scream Pink. So this is a quite large area. You can use your medium base brush, but there is a lot of thin detail we want to reach as well. So I've got my small layer here. Need to try and avoid the red there. Touch over any bone we've accidentally spilt. And being careful around any other areas we've previously painted. He says getting pink over the boots. That's right, we can always tidy up later on any mistakes we've made. There we go, lovely dark pink robe there. There's a few bits of white on the red, we'll do that towards the end though. Yeah, our Farseer is starting to look really good. I've changed the water as we've gone through quite a few colours, and we're about to start the metallics. So our first colour is Retributor Armour, and this is going to be for all that intricate gold detail. So we've got the gemstone here. We'll paint that gold, the gemstone there on his cummerbund, the icon hanging from his belt. We've got the decorative detail on the spear. Including the gemstone on the spear. Like I said, we've got all the intricate detail. So we've got the large gemstone on the forehead. And then we've got all these little ridges coming out. So where we can, we'll use the side of our brush and gently skim across the top surface. We've got the entire chest detail to pick out. Again, using the edge of our brush where we can. If you can't use the edge of your brush, try to use the very tip. Just hold your breath. And go in nice and slow. There we go. Finally, we got lots of bangles and gemstones to pick out on the wrists and even on the back of the belt here as well. We're picking out the gold detail, we'll pick out the central gemstone itself when we come to that stage in the guide. And breathe, because that was intricate. All that lovely gold detail is now done on our Farseer. As you can see, we've got the little gemstones picked out on the back, all the ones and bangles around its wrist, and even at the ends of the spear there as well. Speaking of the spear, one last metallic colour, which is Lead Belcher, and that is going to go on the blade of the spear. Being careful around that gem we've already painted. There we go. That's the spear tip painted in silver. Our last task is to go back and pick out the gems. So we've got to do a couple of different colours. So there are various colours depending on where the gems are located. So first off, we're going back to, well, not back to, but we need Macragge blue first. Just a small amount. So this is going to be for the gems on the chest, waist, and this little eye symbol hanging off there. We'll also pick out one of the gems on the back here. And even one of the ones on the wrist. Next up, a tiny bit of Corax white. And we're going to pick out this last gem here. One that's yet to house a spirit. There we go. Now we want to go back to Screamer Pink. And this is going to be for the gem on the forehead here. Being careful around that intricate gold detail we've already picked out. Now we'll pick out one of the gems on the wrist here this time. And this little one down here. Up next, we need to bring in Mephisto Red. So this is our base coat colour. And I'm going to pick out the last few gems that are scattered around the model. So the ones on the spear, the last one on the back belt, and any more that we can see on the bangles. Plus we'll tidy up any mistakes like on the sleeves here as well. So on the spears we've got these gems here. Pick out with red. Got this last little one on the back here. One thing I forgot to do with blue is we want to make sure we've got a nice sharp point to our brush. I'm going to pick out the eyes just in there. And with that, our Farseer is currently complete. So there we go, our Farseer is now currently completed. And yeah, it looks really good. Colours are nice. Definitely need some shading, but other than that, they have really done this model justice, I think, with the paints available so far. Gonna need to do another layer, I think, of Wraithbone underneath that. I'll do that at my own time though. But yeah, other than that, this model is looking awesome. Can't wait to throw some more colours on. The only colour we're currently adding is Cattish and Flesh, which will be in the next issue on the pouch there. But there we go. Lots more colours yet to add, but that's our Farseer, currently up to issue 21 standard. Up next then, we have our lore articles, so I hope you'll join me for that. But until then, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.